Darkness falls across the land. The midnight hour is close at hand. Creatures crawl in search of blood to terrorize your neighborhood. Now pray for the soul of this explorer. It's time for 31 days of horror.
Oh, hello, Dennis McGuana here. Welcome back to another episode of the 31 Days of Ugly. And today's movie is Street Trash from 1987. I saw this movie for the very first time in the late 90s on videotape round at a friend's house, and I was absolutely blown away by how scuzzy and weird this film really was. Don't know what it is about this movie. It has absolutely no story, and pretty much there isn't really anything that I could say to really recommend it, to be honest, except it is the mother of melt movies. If you've never seen a melt movie before, then you need to check this one out. Let me give you a kind of rough idea of what this film is about, okay? It is absolutely strange. The owner of a Brooklyn liquor store discovers a cheap case of booze called Viper that has lain dormant for decades, but has no qualm selling it to the local hobos in the area. And anyone who drinks this putrid spirit melts like a snowman into a gungy puddle on the floor. That is it. That is the basic premise to this film. As a cheap case of booze that homeless people drink and they just melt away. It is really strange, really strange film that has really no purpose other than just to show off some really crazy, outrageous gags. A lot of the humour in this film is of the poorest taste imaginable. You know, there's a part where someone has their genitals ripped off and there's people throwing it around, and there's a cop in it who is just absolutely insane. And there's a scene in it, I mean, if you've not got a strong stomach, this film is not for you. Absolutely not. There is a scene in it where the cop beats a guy up and then vomits on top of him. I mean, you may think that's pretty badass, but really, it's just absolutely insane. The main part of this story revolves around a junkyard where there's a whole gamut of homeless people that live there, and there are some lead characters in this, but they really have no purpose in this story whatsoever. You have these two brothers that are meant to be our main characters, but they really go nowhere. Nothing in this movie really goes anywhere, and the whole mystery behind this weird tonic wine that people find and drink, it never really gets explained. It never gets explained why this drink causes people to melt, but it's such a fascinating watch. The strange thing about Street Trash is it's brilliantly made. I love really weird films, really weird sort of unusual films. I think that's the great thing about low budget B movies, is you just don't know what you're going to get. When you go and see a Marvel film, it's pretty much, you know exactly what you're going to get. It's like sliced ham. Sliced ham, it's always the same, right? But with B movies, you never know what you're going to get. And Street Trash is one of those movies where you just kind of, you look at the box, you look at the video cover and you're like, what in the world is that about? What is that about? And then you look at the back, it doesn't even enlighten you anymore. You're just like, what? Homeless people and melting. That is it. The thing that always annoys me about a lot of big American films or television shows is they're very aspirational. A lot of the characters that you see in films and TV shows, the movies want you to be like them. They want you to go, yeah, I want to get that car, I want to dress like her, I want to, you know, it's all very sort of capitalist. It's all very, you know, let's sell more stuff. You know, it's just absolute nonsense how films are just, and television shows are just ginormous commercials. The one thing that really annoys me about the Marvel films is the amount of junk food that they sell in those films. I don't mean that they sell junk food actively, but you always see Iron Man and the Hulk eating like burritos and pizzas and burgers and things like that. Yeah, you know, if I have that steady diet, I'm going to look like them, you know, I'm going to have that physique. Nonsense. One thing that Hollywood seems to skip over, and filmmakers all over the world, is the absolute epidemic of homelessness, right? Now this film does feature homeless people in it, but it never really laughs at them, right? It doesn't mock the homeless in any way. The homeless are characters in the film. Yeah, a lot of them are crazy, sort of wacky characters, but it never in any way sort of belittles them. I would love to see more films that depict homelessness in the world, especially when you look at Tinseltown itself. Los Angeles is an absolute haven for homelessness right now, and Hollywood does not in any way depict that. I know that you could go back and go, oh yeah, what about this, what about that? Yeah, there are films in the past that have addressed homelessness, right? Such as Kathy Come Home, absolute classic, or the Saint of Fort Washington, stuff like that. You know, but they're not. No one is actively raising money to make films about the homeless or about the homeless issues, and that is the thing I always like about B movies. Is B movies don't have to. They don't have to sell you a lifestyle. They don't have to be aspirational. And Street Trash is one of those films that just completely throws all the rule books out the window. It just has so much fun with just being absolute nonsense. And if you like these kind of strange films, right, where you just don't know what you're going to get, then you're going to have a great time with Street Trash. Absolutely. And you know, the idea of like Street Trash wears this badge of honour on its video box that it is the mother of melt movies. What does it actually say here? It says, yes, if you've never seen a melt movie, then be prepared, right? If you've never seen a melt movie, then be prepared. And you're thinking, what in the world is a melt movie? Well, you know, there are. I mean, if I had to say which was the original melt movie, then I would have to say The Wizard of Oz, right? Not because the whole film has the whole cast melt into like puddles on the ground, but you got to remember the Wicked Witch of the West. She's melting, right? And you know, ever since then there've been other ones, The Incredible Melting Man, Body Melt, stuff like that. Yeah, Street Trash is the Citizen Kane of melt movies, and what makes it really great is like whenever someone drinks this wine or whatever it's called, this Viper wine, they just completely dissolve. And it's just, you know, for real gorehounds, you're gonna just sit and enjoy these splattery moments. Now, if you've seen Street Trash and you want to have a wee chinwag about it, leave me a wee comment and I'll respond to you. And also, if you like this video, leave us a like. If you want to subscribe to the channel, hit the subscription button, and I'll be back tomorrow with another horror movie on 31 Days of Horror. Good night.